Hi, guys. Welcome to Weekly Travel Updates. I'm Melinda Fargus, and I come to you tonight from North Carolina, where it has become very, very warm, almost summer like weather. Well, it wasn't as hot as it was on a Delta flight today. A Delta Airbus at the Orlando airport preparing for takeoff. An engine caught fire, and an Airbus is one of those really big planes, and 200 passengers had to slide down the slides. There were 10 crew members. They too had to slide down the slides, as did the two pilots on board. But good news is everybody was okay. I do hate that it was Delta, but better that it happened on the ground than in the air. All right. And then, you know how I keep saying the news says historical weather events? Well, there was another one this weekend. Historical weather event of tornadoes in Oklahoma. And more than 100,000 people were affected, with several flash floods and high water rescues and several deaths. But naturally, what caught my eye was historic weather event, because I keep talking about that. Then tonight we're going to talk about legends. I'm not a Catholic. I'm a Baptist, but a legend is gone in the spiritual realm today, and that's the father of the Catholics here on earth, Pope Francis. He reigned or served for 12 years, the second longest. The predecessor was in the early 1900s, and he served for 15 years. But all the rest have served much less than 12 years. And I know that there are a lot of people mourning his death, much like we would, or maybe the way evangelicals felt when Billy Graham died. It was hard. So pray for these families. And then if you've been around our traveling community for any of these 35 years, we had another local legend pass away, and he has been on many, many trips with us, he and his wife. They've been on several European tours. They went for several years. One of the best pictures that I had were of he and Dr. Eason and Freddie Fargus. And they were all dressed in top coats for a formal dinner. Raymond Payne passed away last night, and he was in a white dress coat. And Freddie and Dr. Eason were in black. So, boy, he will be missed. Shannon, his wife, worked with us off and on for nearly 15 years. We kept pulling her out of retirement to come back. But pray for those families. Then I want to tell you, as vacation season is here on us, and many people will be flying, some tips that you might not know. And some that would just be good refreshers. Some that were good refreshers for me here before we go on vacation. So one of the things on a plane that many people don't think about is, if you don't feel well, I've got a headache or my stomach is not feeling well, ask the stewardess or steward, as the case might be. They have a large first aid kit on board with pain relievers like Advil, Tylenol. They have Band-Aids. They have anti-upset stomach stuff like Pepto-Bismol. They have a full range, including like Band-Aids. How many times have you got on a plane and you pinched? I have pinched myself before on the finger and it bled. And I did have a Band-Aid, but had I not had one, then they have a full supply. You just need to ask. Communication is really the key on board. Many times when that cart comes around, if it's more than an hour or so, I just ask for the whole can of drink. I like tomato juice. There's scientific studies that say that tomato juice drink when you are above 10,000 feet has extra benefits. I'm going to look more into that and let you know next week. But when I read that today, I thought, oh, I got to look at that. Anyway, I drink tomato juice or Bloody Mary mix out of the can. I just like the spices in the tomato juice. But those kind of things there's not a cost to. And they have lots of flavored juices, and they could care less whether you ask for the whole can or not. And if they're opening bottles of water, I just ask for the whole bottle of water. I take my own coffee on. Most of these planes are decades old. And in a study shortly after planes started flying again after COVID, I shared how disgusting the water and filtration systems can be on a plane. So I don't drink hot liquids on a plane unless I bring them on board there. But if you're not feeling well, and if it's a long flight, go to the back of the plane. There's oftentimes a snack tray there. Carbs can sometimes make you feel slightly better. If you're low on potassium, sometimes there's fruit left over from first class. Then there are all kinds of beverages back there, and they're available for you just to take. You can ask for a second meal on a plane. More and more frequently, if you're traveling in the morning, particularly, breakfast is often served. And if you're really hungry, you could ask, hey, once the flight is served, if there's an extra meal, I sure would appreciate it. They'll let you know right up front if it's available, and they'll come back to you. Service is their key. Also, another hack is if you want to be one of the first served so that you get to be one of the first to the restroom after your meal, then order a special meal like a vegan, a vegetarian, a kosher meal, a gluten-free meal. These meals are served first. They're usually made one by one, and so many times they're fresher. And if you're doing a vegetarian meal, it's a lot of times got a lot of fruit in it, which is a great thing if that's what you're looking for. I just think that that's a perfect way to not get the humdrum meals that sometimes you get on the plane. Okay, then blankets and pillows. They have a hoard of blankets and pillows. Don't be sitting there freezing. If you're freezing, just ask for one. Now, don't stick it in your bag when you get off the plane, because it's there to loan to you, and then they gather them up and rewash them. Although I have gotten on a plane before where I saw blankets were still left in the seats, and that's okay too. Just be aware of that. Okay. Be aware that now more and more carriers are you have to provide your own wired earbuds. Delta still hands them out, but I had a traveler on American recently who said, yeah, they didn't offer them for free. They're $3. And I know that several other carriers are not offering them as a freebie anymore. Speaking of onboard charges, let me tell you the quickest way to purchase something on board. I'm frequently saying download the airline app. If you're getting ready to fly on Delta, download the Delta app, American, United, whoever you're flying. There are lots of benefits to it, but one reason is if you're planning on purchasing something on board, some of the carriers, not Delta, but some of the carriers require you upload that form of payment to the airline's app so that when they come to your seat and you say, I want this $7 drink and this $3 snack box. No, there's not a $3, this $5 snack box. They're going to ask you to open the app so that they can scan your barcode, which then pays for it because you already have a form of payment on the app. Okay. If you have any questions, just message me. I'm happy to tell you about it. All right. Another thing is Wi-Fi. I fly Delta. I'm a Delta frequent flyer. I don't pay for Wi-Fi. But if I did, it's now $12.99. And I have paid for it before. But JetBlue is rocking it. They're the only ones that I know of that are offering free Wi-Fi on all classes of service on all JetBlue flights. So if you're planning and Wi-Fi is important to you, then that might be a consideration. There still are the majority of carriers who let your tiny traveler travel with you in your lap if they're under 2 years of age. I can remember the day when we would plan that Disney trip the last week before that baby turned 2 so that they could fly for free. I've booked many trips that way. And those flights are still there and babies still are free under 2 years of age. But on international flights, most carriers are charging 10% of the adult fare. So be prepared for that. And like I said, I get on board and I sanitize everything with sanitizing wipes. And if you don't remember your sanitizing wipes, just ask the stewardess for them because all of them have sanitizing wipes. Things happen on planes and very frequently. They used to be found in the seat back pocket, but yeah, I don't even look in those things anymore because the airlines do not have time to clean those between flights. And sometimes you look at them and wonder, when was the last time they were cleaned? Anyway, we won't go there. Ask for things that you need on flights is my point. Okay, then there was quite a bit of cruise news. Oh my goodness. I wonder how long my mic was muted. Well, I'm going to continue on. And if I have to go back and do the flight tips separately, I will. I'll do it right after this video. Okay. We're down to the cruise news. Sorry about that. Celebrity Cruise Line has become and is one of our favorite cruise lines. They are going to offer river cruises in 2027. So you know how your loyalty points with Royal Caribbean, they merge with Celebrity Cruise Line or vice versa. But when they announce the dates for the 2027 sailings on their ships, I will be having a group departure. We won't ever do the first one because they need time to work the bugs out. I usually give them about a month and then we book something. But I am really excited about that. And if you are, DM me and let me know about that. You know how the cruise lines are cutting back here and there. And one really upset customer this week was all over the Carnival Cruise Line's ambassadors, John Hill's page, and fussing about free juice. Gone really are the days that you can get any kind of juice for free in the dining room. Now, when you're in the buffet, you can get apple juice and orange juice, and their guava punch is probably the most popular on Carnival, but you don't see many pineapple juice anymore, and you don't see very much tomato juice anymore, that are in the self self self-service, but they are available. They're just not free anymore. You can still order apple juice and orange juice, but now you have to pay for pineapple juice, guava juice, tomato juice. There were several on the list. And several of the cruise lines offer fresh squeezed orange juice, and all of them charge for that. Okay. I was reading that there was a lady banned from Norwegian Cruise Line for being too friendly. There were several banned this week. I'll tell you about it. But one, this just seemed weird. This lady was on a Norwegian cruise, and she got off the cruise, went home, tried to book another cruise, and it wouldn't allow her to book it. So she called them and said, "What's the deal? I can't book my cruise." And they said, "Well, you've been banned." Banned for what? Banned for inappropriate conduct. And the headlines read, "Banned for being too friendly." I don't know how far that went, but several crew members had noted that she was very forward and friendly, and that she had asked for their personal information, like their email address or their phone number. Anyway, I bet she was from the South. But anyway, watch that, because, that's the first time I've ever heard of somebody being banned for being too friendly. But such has happened this week. Then, do you know there was a 7-year-old banned from Norwegian Cruise Line for life? Okay, so this family, mom, dad, and a 7-year-old, get on this Norwegian ship just this past week. And while mom and dad are unpacking, they let their 7-year-old go explore the ship all by himself. I would have never let my 7-year-old explore the ship by himself. But anyway, this family did. And lo and behold, some days later, there's a bill that comes to the cabin. And the bill says damage in, I believe it was the arcade. Come to find out, when the dad and mom go down to speak to the captain, they find out this kid is banned from Norwegian Cruise Line from now on. They have him on video in bullying a kid into a fight, and physical violence and damage to property. Again, I think it was in the arcade, but like he kicked stuff and there was damage. 2 things I've never heard people banned for. But how would it be from now on? Oh, mom and dad can go on a cruise, but you're banned for life, so you can't go. And I hate to say this, but what's happening is, if you're banned on one cruise line, the other cruise lines can see it. So you are really looking for scrutiny. Just saying. Okay. There was another lady, another NCL, and this came from collecting all week that these piled up. It just happens to be NCL day. On the NCL Bliss, a family who had several cabins booked, and they had booked connecting cabins. It sounded like they had kids or others in their party that wanted connecting rooms. But they get to the Bliss and there are no connecting cabins. And the woman who is handling the conversation just gets irate. And they calm her down and decide that because of this error, it was their error, they will give her a $3,000 future cruise credit, which they did. But when she got home, she denies that she knew it was going to happen this way. But when she got home, she denied charges to Norwegian Cruise Line for $3,000. And following that, she goes to book her next cruise and they won't let her book a cruise. And she calls to find out why she can't book her next cruise. And she's told she's banned for life. Long story short, first one I've ever heard, 3 first, and all 3 on NCL. She was banned for life. She gets on the phone and begs, pleads, says that she didn't understand it to be this way, and she apologizes profusely and is willing to pay back the $3,000 on the spot while the supervisor has her on the phone, and they reinstated her. But hey, it looks like that they have so much business that if you get out of line, like a lady did on Royal Caribbean recently, she just got caught with CBD gummies. Banned for life. Banned for life. Now, I don't know what she did that they required a search that found those, but many a times if you act up, that's one good way to get caught. Well, guys, I wanted to share with you and boy, I went way over. I'm going to share with you the TSA is for sure May 7th. They are not going to go into an approach. They are going to enforce the Real ID. So if you don't have the Real ID and it says that they've put it aside several times, but she's afraid the majority of travelers are not really focused on this. We have been sharing it for a long time, but I don't know that others have. So, have you seen it other than, or how have you heard about it? I would love to know. Just drop me a message in the box. Did you hear about it? And if you heard about it, where did you hear about it? Other than me. Or if you heard it from me, just say, yes, I heard it from you. Okay. And then I want to share, let's see, what the initial challenges are that 81% of travelers at TSA checkpoints present what will be an acceptable identification. It'll be the Real ID, passports, or a DHS trusted traveler card, like a global entry or a Nexus. But what they're saying is for the first few weeks, this is going to be devastating because many are not going to have it. They're going to say they didn't know. And rather than being turned away, they're going to put you in an area and somebody is going to do whatever they can to help verify your identity. So, wow. I wish that they could put it in writing. Like if you book online on Delta, it's got a little notice up there that says, May 7th is the date. Make sure you have this. But if you don't, expect hours of delays. Okay, guys. Thank you for stopping in. It's actually really long one tonight. I apologize. But I had so much to tell you. And I can't wait to tell you next week after returning from a special getaway. You have to tune in to find out. Anyway, thank you so much. And I hope your Easter was fabulous. The kids were in. I got to hold Grayson and see all the family. So it was a wonderful week. And we're very blessed. Okay. Thanks again. Ciao. Oh, I'm going to show you the video of the recycled teenager mock-ups I've done. See ya.